Hi, everybody. Namaste. Welcome. Thank you for your patience. I realize it's 6 minutes after the hour. Thank you for coming back to this discussion and welcome those of you that are just arriving and wondering what's happening here. My name is Sadhana. I'm an intuitive reader and deep into a series of 22 readings where I focused on the a major arcana card and its surrounding energy for the upcoming year. And this was great fun. Took 3 days to get through it all, but it's all available for you. And these 22 readings are linked in a playlist, which is in the description below. So you can go back and have a look at those. And I want to thank everyone who's been here for the duration of this series. Your support has been just amazing. And so thank you for all of that. Helping with others who had questions for with insights in depth into the meanings of the readings, to help with the trolls and everything else that arose during these readings. So I really appreciate it. And I thank Spirit for the very few times that we had to invoke the power of deleting comments. So it was great. It was great. Welcome to Elena. Hello. And Donna, Vange, welcome back. Yeah, it's amazing how we can gain deeper connections with taking time and the insight into just general themes without even asking specific questions. Happy New Year to you, Amanda. Welcome. All right, and Karen's here as well too. Lovely. Thank you. I don't really have a plan other than wanting to look at some of the common themes that arose during these 22 readings and to talk about some of these cards more in depth and why perhaps they came up in an abundance of readings. Hmm. One of them is the Five of Feathers. The Five of Feathers. This is the Margaret Peterson Tarot. If you're just hopping in and weren't a part of this, I use the Margaret Peterson for all of the readings this year. It really is an amazing deck. And of course, I've created a little summary spreadsheet very quickly of what went on here. So the Five of Feathers came up today as well in the final reading. That's why it's on the table here, easily accessible. One, two, three, four. So 5 times. So in 5 of the 22 readings, in the suit of air, we had the Five of Feathers. We also had the Three of Feathers repeating 4 times. The 10 of Feathers twice. So very, I want to say very emotional energy in the suit of feathers going forward into 2022. And in terms of the Chariot, what might that represent? And when I think of this card, I think of its sense of emergence and a reclaiming of parts of your soul, so to speak. I mean, there's a reason, right? There's a reason why 7 is such a powerful number. I've talked before about the brilliant description of sevens in the Druid Craft Tarot. And if you have the large guidebook for the Druid Craft, I strongly recommend you go back to that section and look. You reread the power of the 7 number. Starbucks is not a sponsor of this video, by the way. It's just a cup I happened to pull out of the cupboard. Um, and one of the things that I remember in that description is the lessons learned, the integration of the one from the Magician to the Lover's card. And all of those lessons coming together to empower oneself enough to have the courage to make to take one's life, one's job, one's relationship to a different level. The other thing here too is that we're leaving the personal. So it's no longer personal. And there's something about the journey from 7 to 12 in particular. There are some cards that would seem to be internal, solo journey kind of cards in the 7 to the 14. But I feel this experience, what we're stepping into, involves more people. It involves a deeper understanding of the relationships of all of those that are around us. And so part of the reason for so many fives of swords showing up here in these 22 readings really has to do, I think, with the power of silence, the power of having the courage to lay down your sword, to choose not to engage, or to engage in a different way. The charioteer leaves that walled city, not the deck that I was using, but if you're thinking of Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork, the charioteer leaves that walled city alone, not with a team of chariots. This is not a race. He's not flanked on any side by any other chariots, and in no other tarot deck do you see multiple chariots racing out of some place. You you are going off on your own to see the world, to understand your life, to understand your journey through the reflection of all that you will encounter out in the world. And in some regard, you've learned this lesson that the laying down of the sword, the silence can be really, really important. Something that occurred to me yesterday is the connection to Ezekiel's chariot, Merkabah. I've read in spiritual and channeled writings that the Merkabah is our energy field. Interesting to consider. hmm And if you, I mean, this is a very profound card, the chariot. And it has many, many connections just within the tarot to the wheel and the world. In the four archangels that appear on the corners of the card, not only are those corners interpreted as fixed astrological symbols, but they can also be interpreted as the four archangels. And Ezekiel's chariot, Ezekiel, and the angels that surround the chariot have been interpreted as the Merkabah, as the life force itself. I'm leafing through the Marielle tarot here, trying to find the Magician card. This is a story. This is a lesson. This is something that begins the journey in this particular deck, and so she uses the image of the Merkabah to begin the story with the magician, and then it's expanded upon in the chariot card and through the power of all of the sevens. And I don't think I've ever seen another deck that does this so beautifully. And the whole idea of wheel and the connections of the wheel, and I'm just laughing kind of haha because this is an ever growing part of my journey as well too. And I drew the wheel in the Philarcos Tarot as my Philarcos, as my guide for journeying with this deck in the present deep dive that we are doing. I'm not sure that all of these thoughts will be complete or coherent because this is deep thought. The Merkaba you see here, so the magician is holding Metatron's cube, and this shape, which is interchangeable with the Merkaba, is said to represent all of life, all of experience. It's one equivalent would be the Sri Yantra. So the Sri Yantra is much the same. And so everything that we need to know is contained within here. And so, in a way, the chariot experience is an accumulation of a lifetime of knowledge that we take with us when we go forward. And yes, there are other really significant archetypes in the tarot, but this one is particularly profound. My card of the year is the Wheel of Fortune. Mm. And so pace will be really important. Mhm. Good. And when I say that, I'm just thinking of a song we used to sing in Sunday school when I was a child. So yeah, beautiful metaphor. And I think as equally important here is the analogy of the Bhagavad Gita and Arjuna's contemplation as Arjuna pauses on the battlefield and has a deep conversation with his driver, Krishna, who at that point early in the um, poem doesn't know that Krishna is God and questioning his life path, his life purpose. And so there's a lot that could be revealed this year. So we can also take the card of sorrow, the Lord of Sorrow, the Three of Swords, and this card as well as the Ten of Swords. These are the cards of surrender in this suit. We pull the three most challenging cards in this suit to accompany a chariot year. So I find that very profound. Um, but those are and of course there were other cards as well too, but those ones took up the bulk of the readings. And Lydian has another song, Bicycle. Hmm. Wheels. Wheels. All right. So now let's have a little talk about this gal, the Daughter of Cups. And in the artwork of Margaret Peterson, she is framed by this very complex frame, but she floats. I see her face down. I don't see her face up. But the water is clear, but it's full of lines, it's full of wisdom. We see an urn on the shore, we see a crab on the shore. There is a lot of interesting symbology that surrounds the card as well too, that makes me think about multiple lifetimes and perhaps a burden that this child brings into this world. I'm also thinking that she's she's at peace. She's at peace with life and no longer struggles with life. And so This card, so the daughter showed up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in 7 readings. And did I say the same for the 5? 1, 2, 3, no, 5. So this was even a more predominant theme that showed up. So in the Suit of Cups, we also had 3 sons, 3 sons and a mother. So a lot of court cards in the Suit of Cups. So reflective, very reflective energy. And so you can remember also too that the Chariot card is connected to the element to the sign of Cancer. So this journey feels very much connected to ancestry, the healing of family, the feeling. Can we link some of this together? Could we say the journey of healing ancestral pain, the journey of healing family, uh, deep family karmas? The yogis teach that we have geographical karma, so in each lifetime. That needs to be resolved. And that's why sometimes we find ourselves staying in one place, or other people move from place to place, and things seem to be resolved as they move from place to place, or relived. And we have family karma and then individual karma. 7 times equals our 7 year. Yes. And the Daughter of Cups, I feel, is a great guide to this. She's a soulful being. And if you think back of the children that you have known, those soulful children who are innately happy and peaceful, they they could they could encounter a bear in the wild, and the bear would lay down for them. They're they're powerful, but they're so soft, and I think it's an important quality to remember, especially with all of the lessons of the charioteer emerging in the chariot archetype, which is so powerful. It's a counterpart to its wateriness, and I get that, but we need to remember that we come through a long line of energy. Mhm. And I don't know if others of you had insight into why the Daughter of Cups came up again and again and again, and her brother and her mother. There were very few readings where the these were not the water cards. And surprisingly, the cards that did come up, so there were no Two of Cups. Again, we had the odd numbers, 3, 5, and 7. There were a couple of others. We had a 6 today, but it's Cups non-Sagittarius as rising sign in your Cancer. So the Cups are, yeah, can they also support the Chariot, reminding the Chariot to stay out of the ego? I feel that those court cards, the daughter son cards, we want to keep as we venture out into the world, to remember that this is not we don't know everything, and the reason we're going out is to learn, and we can't learn if we're have a know-it-all kind of an energy. And so that's one of the reasons I think why she's there as well too. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go through these in order. For those of you that don't know me, I keep Excel spreadsheets on just about everything. Um, so if you have any questions, I have everything at my fingertips right here. So let's start with the suit of flames. The suit of flame, well, we've already started. Let's go to the suit of flames. Our most common draw in the suit of flames was the 4. And a few things come up for me here with this one. I will address that in a moment, Lydia. There's a hopefulness to this card. There is so much light, and it appears to me that there is a sense of safety as well too. It's not going to be a tumultuous journey. There's going to be a level of protection that is available. And I maybe one of the reasons that the shaman's oracle wanted to be a part of these readings was so that in each reading you knew there was support in the ether. There was support through ancestry, lots of help out there, no matter what you are navigating. And I, for each of those cards, I believe I read the message from the card itself that appears in italics at the beginning of each description. And when, as we, the greater, as the challenge, as the perceived difficulty of challenges arise, we tend to forget that support is there always and always with us. So I encourage you during the year when you're going through a difficult time and you go back to this reading and you listen to the message again, or if you have the deck, pull out the message from the card and listen to it carefully. When I reflect on when I last night when I was creating this spreadsheet and thinking about these readings, it seemed to me that listening was the most important skill that we could have. Um, there's a And I feel also too that in the Kantaji Oracle, which I paired with the suit of water, the the only card that it repeated 4 times was a fierce desert flower. And a fierce desert flower was the cactus card. So we see this very, um, I was going to say voluptuous cactus. Not only is the body of the cactus full of water, the spikes, the are also everything about the cactus is really healthy. And then there's a flower emerging from the cactus. So the cactus is strong in every way, emotionally strong. The cactus is protected. So in a variety of aspects, I don't see that there's no fear. There's a I think be vulnerable. Be okay with being vulnerable this year. There's so much protection available to you, and there is a wealth of wisdom and experience that lies within. So be sure to tap into that resource because that resource is what is going to take you through. And so we look to both the strength and the softness to carry the chariot, to carry the chariot through. Mm. That is a beautiful, beautiful card, Karen. I agree with you. I love that card. I have difficulties to make correspondence between major arcana and the 4 minor arcana. Um, I'm not sure how to respond to this, Lydiane, other than so. In general, to answer you in general, so I look to where the major occurs in the series of 22 cards and to understand the nuances in the 777. So that's one layer. I would look to the general archetype of the major, as well as its astrological associations and its numerological associations, and then weave that together with the corresponding numbers and the relevance of the corresponding numbers. I mean, this is kind of what I do in Tarot Foundations. We build this slowly, step by step, so that this sort of a reading isn't so difficult. Navigating a 10 card reading is no longer a problem because you have the tools to take it apart step by step. And I believe I spoke to that in the second reading today, that it's really important not to rush a reading. We want to, you want to take your time. I've often used the term marinate. Marinate. You want to lay the cards on the table, and then if you don't have space to leave a reading on the table, take a photograph of it and print it and put it in your journal, or print it and put it on your nightstand. So you can look at it and see it again and again. You can doodle on it. I often find printing readings is a really good tool. And when I do client readings, I most of the time I will print. I'll take a photo and I'll print the reading in color and I'll put it in my binder with all my notes about the reading, and um, and I'll draw on it. I'll soon after the reading, I will do this, and I'll scribble on it. I'll make some notes about correspondences, maybe things I didn't speak to or didn't come through at the time of the reading, so that when I go back to it again, hopefully with that person, that we can talk about that and use that reading as a reference point. I find a lot of people in reading tarot, readings get lost, so you don't remember a reading, and if you're only writing words about it and you don't have a pictorial reference, it can be hard to recall a reading, unless, of course, there was, a significant event around it. The death card shows up when your mother died, stuff like that. You'll always remember that. But we need to be able to go back and to study and to understand. And building these interactions, it really does take time because as you know, even in the practice of numerology, there's a lot of different ways to interpret the numbers. And I don't know if you've listened to the podcast by Susie Chang and Mel Moline. In that podcast, it's all about correspondences, and they throw a lot of correspondences on the table during each podcast, but what they share is just it's just the tip of the iceberg. The layers and layers and layers that are available to a single archetype are really limitless. We can't possibly know every myth that tells the story of the high priestess. It's not possible. So we draw on the ones that we know. And so, Lydia, when you're examining a reading like that, you just start with um, hello all, I'm late. Thought it started at I'm sure I said that, Dee. I'm sure I said that, Dee, because I had repeated a few times about live readings on Tuesday at 12:30. So, yes, I apologize. I'm sure at some point I did that. Yeah. So it's a step-by-step process in unpacking a reading. Now I wanna Can I expand on this? I think this is important. I was listening to Tom Benjamin. Uh, he worked at a festival at a night market this summer. I believe he lives in Rhode Island. And he did a video sharing what I learned from the night market and talked about the approach to readings. And he said he was talking about 15 to 20-minute readings. And I was thinking about doing a VR to this because it's a great topic. I have done psychic fairs, I've done markets, I've done lots of different events where I'm parked at a table and there's a long queue, a long line of people waiting for a reading. Um, Sometimes I take a chalkboard or a whiteboard and let people write on the board and sign up for readings so they don't have to stand around and wait in a line or hand out numbers or something like that. But he was talking about this window, this window where you capture the essence of a reading. Really, how long does it take to do a reading? And he was saying that, yeah, 20 minutes is perfect. I can say everything I need to say in 20 minutes. And I have to agree with that. I think the essence of a reading is going to come through in about 15 to 20 minutes. And is there any point in booking a session for 45 minutes or an hour or longer? Um, yes, yes, there is. But it also has to do with the nature of the customer and the intention of the customer. And I think at a market or a psychic fair, we can get to the essence of the reading in 15 to 20 minutes. But if you want to dive into correspondences and the deeper layers of the astrology and the numerology and the mythology of the archetypes, then indeed to really study the reading, a longer period of time is necessary. But that is not um, what is required if you're doing a psychic fair or something like that. It's just not. And you'll notice that I decided to keep these readings to 30. My time frame was 30 minutes. And some of them I was deep in it and went way over. And today, the Empress reading, I felt like, wow, I got that in 15 minutes, didn't need to say anything else. So you need to trust that where you are is exactly all that needs to come through in this moment. And there's no harm in always taking a photo of a reading, right? You have it. It's date stamped on your phone, and you can always come back to it and refer to it. And if you're reading for others too, it's a great thing. It's a great record to have. Mm, okay. So I kept these readings to 30 minutes, mostly health, for my health and well-being, but also because I've been practicing for a long time. I've used this spread many times, and I like this spread. I often use this spread without the oracle cards, and I feel that it tells a wonderful story. Let's just go to the cards for a minute. These are the cards from the Emperor reading, and I have changed some of these cards around, but I just want to talk about the nature of this spread and the versatility of this spread and why I use this. If I were, of course, if I were at a psychic fair or I were doing readings even anywhere but here, I probably wouldn't have all of these decks on the table unless I, had advertised this is what I was going to do. But the basic spread that is in the center of the table is one that I use all the time. And I would suggest that it's not a bad thing to always have one tarot deck that you have sorted into suits. And if you have a tarot deck that is sorted into suits, excuse my reach, then you can do this kind of a spread at any point. And the reason for doing this sort of a spread is because we get information about each of the elements and how each of the elements interacts with your chosen significator. And perhaps we're not doing this for card of the year, but the reason that you are doing this reading, let's not pick something quite so morbid. I don't know, let's do something kind of lighter. Let's say that you were planning a trip overseas. You're planning a trip overseas. You were ready to go on a journey, and you wanted some insight into why you were thinking about this, or you wanted some insight into even where to go or what, because the cards, the elements might give you information about places or themes. And I think it's good to have a balanced reading because it gives you also an interplay of energy among the elements. And so this is it's a great technique to have a deck that is always have one deck that is sorted into the 5 suits. So there's another way that you can do this as well too. And why don't I demonstrate that? Because this is fun. All right, let's get another deck that is not sorted. All right, let's use this one. This is Tarot of the Sacred Journey of the Sacred Beast. And let's say I've just done the reading on the High Priestess. That was quite a challenging reading. And I want to personalize this for myself. How the personally, if there's any more information, I'm trying to get some more information about how the High Priestess will navigate this year. Um, there's something about that reading that really spoke to me. Hi, Camila. Mhm. Okay. And I have, gosh, I probably have about 4 or 5 different ways that I do this spread. Okay. So I have cut the deck, and this is going to be the overarching theme. And when I lay down the cards, I tend to put down the pentacles. I call this the pentacles first. So this is pentacles. So this is earth. This is water. This is fire. And this is air. Now, this is all 78 cards. It's not a sorted suit. But what happens in this spread is that this particular card takes on the energy of the major. This takes on, like, this is the most important theme. And oddly, I get the Hierophant. Such a beautiful Hierophant in this card. One of the reasons why I bought this deck. So the major theme here is it's about learning. It could be about the student-teacher relationship. Um, I could also see this as a return journey to the ashram to go back and connect with my guru. There's a few different things that I could see picking up on here. So is this indeed about a journey? What do the surrounding cards have to say about that? So what would be my action? Now, I might not necessarily say this, call this action, but this is the fire. So this would be connected to my life purpose. This is the element of fire. So what do I need to know here? Well, surprisingly, not surprisingly, there is a fire card here. This is my birth card. And I want to tell you something. This is my high priestess has set an intention in the summer to go to some sort of a yoga institute where I can, and I'm thinking that I want to be a student. I want to do a very high level teacher training, um, more yoga therapy training, or maybe in Ayurveda, something like that. I want to make sure that there is a significant advanced asana practice as well too. So rebuilding my asana practice is something that's going on right now as well too. And I find this really uncanny that we have a summer marker here as well as the strength component that is built in. Very, very, um, very personal. So it feels like, yeah, this is making a lot of sense. And so this is the element of fire. This is the emotional component. And in the emotional component, I have the tower. So no, this is not a water card. This is very interesting that I have 3 majors here. So how do I read the tower as an emotional component? Well, those of you that read the tarot, you can pretty much figure this out. That what I am intending and what I am undertaking is going to be highly transformative. It's going to be one of those events, sessions, retreats that leaves me sobbing and breaking down. It's going to break me down. It's going to open me up. And maybe that's exactly what I need and why I'm wanting this so badly. A healing for self, so to speak. What will this do for my? You guys are all very quiet in the chat here. What will this do for my voice? What will this do for my mind, for my wisdom? Um, what will I learn? What will I learn? I mean, all of these questions. Interesting. Okay, so we're Sun in Virgo. We're Sun in Virgo. Um, this is your mastery card. This is your what's it called? Not master, but apprentice card as well too. What will I learn? I think I will learn new tools to support me in my business. I will I'll learn I will have obviously, right? So what's emerging here is something that is supporting my intention. Yes, I need to bring this in. I need to do everything I can to support this intention so it actually happens. Okay. And then down below, so this is coins or pentacles. This could represent my physical body. Is my physical body strong enough to do this? Am I just too old? Is it crazy for me to want to do this? Because when you go to these retreats and trainings, they're all 20 years old. They can walk around on their hands for the most part. They may be emotionally naive, but they're a lot more physically strong than you are. So there's that component as well too. I've also gone to seminars where um, part of the pranayama practice is, you gotta bury your body. You gotta show your belly. You gotta breathe and yeah, so there's that. So there's the body, the physical body. There's also the financial aspect. These retreats and trainings cost thousands of dollars. So, plus the journey to get there and back. Um, so there's also that component as well too. So when I do a reading like this, I'm riffing through all that each of the elements could represent. So let's see what comes up here. Don't worry, Sadhana. This is a journey of the awakening of your soul, the card of peace, the two of swords. It's an unfolding, and what really matters is neither the money nor the physical body, but what is more important and what needs to be brought into the third dimension. I want to say is already very much part of the third dimension for me, right? Both the inner and outer gaze, and I want to say the grounded nature of the spiritual experience, bringing spirit to earth. Mm. Is this the version that you're talking about, Donna, that I'm going through right now? So the thing that doesn't happen in this reading is that um, you don't have one sword, one pentacle, one. You don't have one of each, and there's a level. To me, the riffing of questions, the riffing of possibilities before you turn the cards over is essential. And so I said some time back that maybe I said this in another video, I don't know, I said it today at some point. It's so important to talk your readings. And if you have a way to record it, so a voice memo or something, of course, you don't have to record it, and you sound like a crazy person talking aloud to your cards, but it's really invaluable to try to find sentences around what the card is showing you, and I strongly recommend this technique, even if you are reading for yourself. So much better than just a couple of sentences in a journal. And then we can go on from there, okay? So those are the initial inquiries. I've asked each position. I've thought about what each position could represent. Now, what is the relationship between the divine feminine energy of the water, the divine masculine energy of the fire? We have two fire majors. So we have fixed fire. We have a Mars energy here. So these are both very strong, very strong components, almost too strong, too powerful, too much fire. So what does this tell me? This tells me that I will burn out if I'm not careful, that I may need to make sure that I build in a restorative yin component, that I get to um, I don't know, the meditative classes every day, that I get adequate sleep because I could easily burn out. So that is one correspondence that I always look to, okay? And then there are other significant correspondences. In so down on the bottom of the reading, I'm looking at a foundation of sorts, and the foundation is Tower and 2 of Swords. Tower and 2 of Swords. So I noticed that these are both, masculine energies. The Tower is a 60. The Tower is about, splitting, right? It's something splits. The 2 of Swords is also split, but it's about bringing something together. So in a way, the what I'm feeling in this foundation here is, yeah, in a way, both of these cards are, um, revisioning something. They are the ground is not stable, the ground is not solid, and while that keyword is peace, this is a card of transformation, right? That the lotus is about transformation, and one is definitely more subtle than the other, but this is not going to be easy. All right, and then I wanna look at what's above. What is above? And what is above is very strong. It's, like, very strong. It's a very powerful reading. And also notice that we have an 8 and an 8, an 8 and an 8, and that's sitting kind of overhead, right? 2 lemniscates, um, amazing sort of force, centrifugal force of energy, repeated message of that this is the right thing and this is exactly what I should do. So while this is only a 5-card reading, there's multiple layers that I can bring in here. And then I can tear it apart even further, and I can go, "Okay, well, let's look at all of the numbers." I have 5, an 8, a 16, a 2, and an 8. So I've already noticed that I have 2 eights. Um, 16 is 8 plus 8. So I have all even numbers except for the one in the center. Even numbers surrounding an odd number. So even numbers are generally receptive, so there's that component. I find it fascinating that this is a double 8. So 8 is a very powerful number here. Now if I add up the whole reading, I go 5 plus 8 is 13. 13 plus 16 is, what is that? 13 plus 16 is, 29. Do you know how hard this is to do live? My goodness. To think to think like this out loud. I'm just gonna write this down because I'm gonna lose my train of thought. So 5 plus 8 is 13, and 13 plus 16 is 29, which I said, right? And then we have an 8 and a 2, which is 10. So we have 39. So the whole reading, this is very interesting. The whole reading is a 39. And we can there's a couple things that I would do with that 39. So 39, of course, 3 plus 9 equals 12, which is one thing that you could do with that number. The reading reduces to a hanged man, or the addition reduces to an empress. So I can sit in contemplation of that. But what strikes me beyond that and more than that is 39 is 3 13s. 13 plus 13 plus 13. It's like 3 little deaths, and that is kinda powerful. Um, and normally I wouldn't do that, but because it's a 3 and a 9, and this whole 3-9 3-6-9 thing is I think it's worthy of consideration, so there's something to that. And so that would be the reduction of the entire reading from 12. 1 plus 2 is 3, and the whole reading boiling down to the level of the Empress. Mm. So, yeah, so this is, I really like the spread. I like the spread, and I've worked with it a lot over the years, both personally, and with clients, as well as teaching. But it's not the easiest spread to teach because you need a certain level of proficiency to interpret the cards in each position, right? Alright, so let's go to the oracles. Let's go to the oracles. I just thought I would take a moment to tell you why I paired these oracles with the suits that I paired them with. Um, so I wanna take you back to the morning that this all started, and that morning, I had no idea what decks I was going to use. I had asked for guidance the days before, and I had no idea. And it wasn't until that morning that the message came through, and I within moments, I selected the oracles. So it happened, I'm gonna say, all within 5 minutes that I pulled this together. So why did I choose the Tool Coup? I may as well be showing you the cards rather than and I have done a video on this particular deck. Um, so this oracle created by Carla Rafoxo has a couple of underlying layers. It's based in Tibetan Buddhism. It does have a little bit of chakra psychology. It's very yogi oriented. It is shamanistic. And Carla spent some time with the, goodness, what's it called? I can see his face. Center in New York. And at this meditation center in New York, she designed some malas. So her metalwork had been discovered by this yoga institute, Deepak. She worked for Deepak. So at the Chopra Center in New York, she did some metal design for them and continued with the creation of her amulets. I have one actually. I purchased the Vesica Pisces. I just this ever since I got it, I so this is a silver one. This I think it's the silver large one. And this chain that it's on also came from her website. She didn't gift it to me, I purchased it. Um, this is the chain. So it has, uh, I can't even think. I'm sorry. I'll have to look it up. I can't. My brain is quite full right now. Yeah. So when I saw the oracle, I deeply connected with the oracle. Each of these cards is inspired by an amulet. And so there is an amulet that goes with each of these cards. The, there is also a connection to Chinese medicine. And so every card is connected to one of the five elements according to Chinese medicine. So that is a bit of a stretch for me, while the element of metal is connected to air in a way and spirit. It's a little different with the elements from Chinese medicine and chakra psychology. So I've really enjoyed working with this deck, and I find it a bit of a stretch for the mind. I find it inspiring, and so this is why I paired this oracle deck uh, with the Suit of Swords. I think it's a wonderful pair for the Suit of Swords. So that's the Chulku Oracle by Carla Rafaxo. Yeah. Um, in the Suit of Earth, and I was also mindful of the color palette and the art style of the Margaret Peterson. And I know this deck fairly well and have looked into these cards a lot. And so as I was choosing so this is the Margaret Peterson. As I was choosing oracle cards, I was also mindful of the color scheme because to me, color is frequency, and color plays an important part in the pairing of decks. And so this is the deck that I chose for the to pair with the coins. And this is the Shaman's Oracle by John Matthews with art by Will Kingham. And this is also a deeply spiritual deck. And I find that the artwork along with the messages in the guidebook are very much in alignment with Margaret Peterson's work. And I also have a video on this deck. Okay. It felt really grounded, and that's why I paired it with this one. Okay, it's funny, I'm looking on YouTube, it's very blurry. And then I chose 2 other oracles. So for the Suit of Cups, I chose the Kantaji Oracle, which is a brand new oracle that I haven't worked with very much. And I did last Wednesday, I did a live stream on this deck as well too. And this, why did I pair this with water? I just I just feel the emotional body of this deck. The keywords are very passionate, and it's it's round. Um, I just thought it was a beautiful pairing, and I thought the colors would also look really beautiful with, the other decks that I'd chosen. Also, just a wanting and a yearning to read with this deck, and there's something about and I know Margaret Peterson's deck was, oil, so this was oil, and this one is watercolor, and I know that um, the Tulku is multimedia, and it's interesting, sometimes there's different qualities that go into pairing of decks, and sometimes it's not easy to name, but this was so easy to pull out 5 decks that went together, and part of that is because I know my deck so well. I know what I have in my tarot oracle library, and I know the decks really, really well. Now, in the suit of fire, which is the one I chose last, so fire is connected to um, purpose, will, drive, passion, and the deck that I chose it's not perfect. Um, This is the one that I would change, but I think that it worked really well for the purpose and for the 5 minutes it took for me to draw cards. This is the Enchanted Path, and this is probably the only Colette Baron Reid deck that no, that's not true. The Mystical Shaman. I still use the Mystical Shaman. And this is the borderless version of the deck, and I kind of wish I had pulled out the one that I trimmed myself. But why did I choose this deck in terms of if you don't know, this deck is called the Enchanted Map, in terms of the element of fire. And the short answer is that when I think of fire, I think of movement and I think of life purpose. And as I was scanning through the shelf, it's actually the hardest, um, it's the hardest match is to find a fiery oracle deck that is versatile enough. And there are a few, I would say, oracle decks that I have that connect to the element of fire, but don't focus on purpose and drive and will. Um, it's funny. I mean, this is not a card that we drew. This is a beautiful card, listening card. And of course, I have lots. Oh, I loved how this card showed up in 2 readings. Protecting treasure. This is a very powerful metaphor. Um, so yeah, so it worked. It definitely worked. Um, and if I had done what do you call it? If I'd done a rehearsal, I probably would have changed this oracle to something that was, also earthy colors, a little more matte, but I would have looked to see if I could find, uh, another one. Okay, so I'm gonna go to your comments and questions now, and if you have any questions or comments, I will be signing off shortly, so get them into the chat. Yeah, I agree, Donna. I sold it. I I didn't I didn't enjoy reading with it. It was too psychological. I felt like I was in a psychiatrist's office. That's what it felt like to me. So, yeah, so I didn't, I don't have it anymore. And unfortunately, I mean, it's a gorgeous deck. I had the, original extra large indie version, and yeah, I don't have it, so can't test it out. Srabi, sorry, no, I'm not doing readings. Um, yeah, so those are the decks that I chose, and this beauty I did a deep dive with last year, and it was it was really, really special, and so there's a playlist on that one as well too, if you're interested. Okay. Well, that is a wrap for this, 6th day of January 2023, and I, look forward to connecting with you next week. I will be back. I will be back, so just go through my schedule for you. Um, Tuesday, I have live readings at 12:30. This is all Pacific time. I'm near Vancouver, Canada. And before that, I have a series called Thoth Inspired, where I am bringing together Thoth inspired decks and talking about the and using the Thoth Tarot as inspiration for the conversation. So last week, our talk was on the Two of Discs. and next week it's on discard the 3 of discs. And so I'm using and I will be doing a public video very shortly on all of my thought decks, so I can share some thoughts on those. I have some newer ones, like the Ashera, new to me anyway, that I would love to offer some thoughts on, and I was gifted Outgrow Yourself, and so I feel like I need to spend some time maybe that's something I could do on my 5 o'clock Wednesdays is to go through my thought decks. That's something for sure. So what else is going on? So that's Tuesday. Wednesday, I teach Tarot Foundations, the present course. So in the present course, we're at week 13, and then there's a new Tarot Foundations that's starting in March if you're interested in studying with me. And then I have the advanced course, which is starting, sorry, Tarot Foundations is starting in February. That's the level 1 course. And the level 2 course is starting in March. Okay, so that's going on. I'm also doing some more advertising and planning for a retreat that I'm organizing in the spring. And you can check out more information in the shop on my website for all of these. But as far as YouTube goes, Wednesday I am doing deck reviews and I'm live in my Facebook group and my all of that is linked below. And also on Wednesdays, I'm doing a deck deep dive series. And presently, the deck deep dive is with the Filarcos Tarot, and we just started. And if you don't have this deck, you don't need the deck. There is a free color PDF that is available, so you might want to join in with that. Fridays here. I have a chat every 12:30, so that's the gist of my week. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm not doing readings, Kristen. I look forward to Kristen, come back at 12:30 PM Pacific next Tuesday, and you can ask a question, okay? I wanna wish you a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Just wanna make sure I got to your questions. Thank you, Donna. Hello to Juliana, welcome to you. Mm, mm. And you're very welcome, Dee. I really appreciate all of your support. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay. Good good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Bye, everybody. Namaste.